Overall rating: it may appear to have been driven straight off the set of a mid-1990s sci-fi film, but the Toyota Mirai could be the answer to our current emissions problems. Unlike conventional petrol and diesel-engined cars that emit carbon dioxide, the Mirai emits just water pure enough to drink. So does some sort of witchcraft power the Mirai? No, it's actually an exceedingly clever bit of technology called a fuel cell. This takes hydrogen, the most common element in the universe, and oxygen from the air to generate electricity in a chemical reaction. Handily, the hydrogen is stored in tanks that can be filled in less than 5 minutes and give a range of up to 342 miles. Look past its kooky appearance and high-tech underpinnings, and the Mirai is actually a fairly conventional 4-door, 4-seat saloon that is a little longer than a Ford Mondeo. Just don't expect a vast amount of room inside for people or luggage. The hydrogen tanks, battery and fuel cell take up quite a lot of space. Keep reading to find out how the Mirai performs on the road, what the interior is like, and how much it'll cost you. If you're taken with the idea of a fuel cell car, have a look at our reviews of the Hyundai 935 fuel cell and Honda Clarity FCV as well. Driving with the clever tech underneath the skin, you might worry that the Mirai will be complicated to drive. The good news is that it's actually no different to a regular automatic or electric car. You simply push a button to turn it on, select drive on the gear selector, release the handbrake, and you're off. Like battery-powered electric cars, there's only one gear, so progress is very smooth and it builds speed quickly. Up to about 30 miles per hour acceleration tails off after this, but it still gets up to motorway speeds faster than many similarly sized diesel saloons. If you do put your foot down, you get a distant whine from the motor along with some muffled gurgling from the fuel cell. Even so, it's quiet with not too much wind or road noise. Comfort impresses, too. You feel expansion joints and potholes, but they are smoothed out effectively to make for relaxing progress. Go over a big crest or compression and it is quite floaty but never off-putting. Unsurprisingly, that means the handling isn't what you'd call sharp. Pitch the car into a corner quickly and there's lots of body lean, although grip levels are high. The front tires resist sliding wide well, but wed like a little bit more weight to the slightly vague steering. This vagueness means you have to make plenty of minor corrections to keep the car in its lane. Interior layout: given the sci-fi exterior, it's no surprise to find that the interior is similarly forward-looking. There are no less than 3 4.2-in TFT screens and a 7.0-in touchscreen infotainment system. The instrument cluster is located in the center of the swooping dash and uses 2 of those smaller screens to display speed, sat-nav instructions and other data. The third small screen is solely to display the settings for the heater and sits between the seats. It's a nice idea in principle, but is mounted too far back to easily see from behind the wheel. As for the main touchscreen, it's no different to what you'd find in a Prius or Urus. That means it's not overly responsive or easy to navigate. While we appreciate that the majority of the Mirai's cost goes on the fuel cell underneath, we would have expected some higher quality plastics inside. The areas you touch the most are nice and soft, but some of the cubbyhole lids and areas of the dash feel flimsy. Space practicality: in this respect, the Mirai is much like a TARDIS but in reverse. It may be big on the outside, but room inside is surprisingly tight due to the twin hydrogen tanks and battery pack mounted between the rear seats and boot. Headroom is good in the back and there's decent legroom, but you can't put your feet under the front seats because of the fuel cell. This means even shorter adults can stretch out their legs for additional comfort. The battery and tanks also mean there's only room for 2 in the back and there's no way of folding the seats down to increase luggage capacity. Open the conventional boot lid and you'll find a cargo area that's oddly shaped and smaller than you'd get on a much smaller VW Golf. Up front there is plenty of headroom even for tall adults and lots of adjustment for the seats and steering wheel. These are moved around electrically and have a couple of memory settings. Even with the seat as low as it will go, you sit higher than regular cars if not quite SUV tall. Visibility is good, although you won't be able to see the end of the bonnet or where the rear of the car is. Thankfully you do get rear parking sensors and a rear view camera as standard. Cost verdict: if you're hoping a Mirai will save you some cash over the course of a year, forget it. Electricity may be cheap, but fueling a car with hydrogen costs about the same as a petrol or diesel motor. Then there's the price of the car itself, in excess of £60,000 even after a government grant. Tax costs are more appealing. As a zero-emission car, the Mirai attracts a 9% benefit in kind rate for company car drivers and avoids the £140 a year tax cost for private buyers. That said, the £350 tax for cars costing more than £40,000 does still apply. As you'd hope for this money, you do get plenty of equipment to standard. This includes a 7.0-inch touchscreen infotainment system with sat-nav, DAB radio and Bluetooth, LED headlights, heated front and rear seats, dual-zone climate control, rear parking sensors, a rear-view camera, wireless phone charging and adaptive cruise control. Euro NCAP are yet to test the Mirai, but you do get plenty of airbags, blind spot monitoring and a rear cross-traffic alert. The Toyota Mirai is clean, comfortable and easy to drive, but it's too expensive and short on boot space.